Hello, and today we are going to be talking about the regular present tense of ER and IR verbs. There you will find a list of regular present tense ER and IR verbs in their infinitives. So remember when we dealt with infinitives and conjugation of regular present tense AR verbs that we have a four-step process by which to conjugate a verb. The regular ER and IR verbs will follow that exact same pattern. Here we have listed the endings that we might need for regular ER verbs. An example of this might be comer, which means to eat. And we also have the same for regular IR verbs, such as vivir, which means to live. You will notice that they are basically the same, which is why we learn them together. They have very similar patterns here, except in the nosotros and the vosotros form, where they are different. So just keep that in mind. Let's say that we had an example which we wanted to conjugate. Well, we know that we can go through our nifty four-step process to get the verb into its correct conjugated form. First, we are going to take off the infinitive ending, right? So we are going to take off our IR right there. Then we are going to find the speaker. In this instance, it would be Fernando y Carmen, because they're the ones doing the action. So Fernando and Carmen, we will remember from our personal pronoun usage, is a third person plural. So we need to find a third person plural ending. Here we have IR, so we would take from the IR endings and we would look into third person plural. So we know that we have to use EN. So now we would just put those elements together. It's really that simple. So we would write down our regular root, just like that, and then we would take our third person plural ending and just write it just like that. And it passes our twofold test because it tells us who is speaking, it is a they, and it also tells us where we are in time. That is to say that we are in the present tense. Now that we have learned how to conjugate regular present tense ER and IR verbs, what I would like for you to do is to conjugate one ER verb and one IR verb just for practice before you get to class. And what I would like for you to do is on the front of your note card, you will conjugate one ER verb, and on the back of your note card, you can conjugate one IR verb, as I've given you an example of right here. Now, of course, you cannot use the ones that I have used, right? There are lots of other possibilities for you in your textbook. So pick one and just conjugate it. And when you get to class, put it on the corkboard, and I will check it whenever I have time during class that day. And of course, always be prepared to share it in case I decide to call on you. Thanks, and I will see you in class.